So, RJ, thank you really much for having this podcast with me. I'm having RJ Messenger today on my show from Undercover Billionaire. He was the person who gave Glenn Stearns, the Undercover Billionaire on the show, his first job, and after that, actually, he became his best friend, as Glenn says. RJ, how are you doing, man?
Good man. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to record the podcast with you.
For sure. Thank you.
Yeah. So back in the Undercover Billionaire show, uh, bro, what was it like? You were on the back scene, you were in the camera side. What was going on?
Uh, Chaos,
Yeah.
absolute insanity the whole time. I felt like. So when we first started, obviously we knew that there were cameras there, right?
Yeah.
In the real world, he didn't just show up at my store with a bunch of cameras.
Yeah.
I knew that he would be bringing cameras with him, but we were all told and under the assumption that it was going to be a documentary being filmed about this guy, Glenn Bryant.
Yeah.
So, I kind of knew what to expect a little bit, but not to that level. There was the curiosity, as we got further in about, okay, so it's not just, two little handheld cameras. I mean,
Exactly.
these were huge, camera systems and 4 or 5 guys filming all at once. And I'm like, okay, like something seems off, but I'm just going to take their word for it and go with it.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of work. It got to the point where you forgot that there were cameras filming everything you do and recording everything you do. To the point sometimes, I hope that they didn't, catch certain things I was saying or doing
Yeah.
on camera.
Oh, that's crazy, man. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So, of course, I'm a big fan of this show. To be honest with you, I know the show from Grant Cardone, as because I was following the guy. I didn't really know Glenn
Yep.
Stearns, who the guy is. But I mean, for example, for me, if I was a Grant Cardone fan, even if he shaves his head off like I did yesterday night, if he comes to me, I know the guy, Mr. 10X. But
Absolutely.
what about Glenn Stearns? You didn't know he's the second biggest lender on your country? You didn't know the guy from his face?
No clue. No clue who he was. It's funny because, obviously with social media nowadays, the odd thing is we were like Glenn Bryant, we would try and search him on like a Facebook or Instagram and we couldn't find anything.
Yeah.
So, obviously I just figured, this guy's, 54, 55 years old. He's just not a social media guy. So I can't find anything about him. Never in a million years would I have thought to search, someone rich guy named Glenn. Obviously if I would have been searching for that, I probably would have popped up across it, but, definitely didn't expect that though. But it's funny because I'm a big fan of Grant Cardone as well.
Yeah.
And I said the same thing. Glenn had texted me back when we found out Grant was going to be in season 2, and he's like, "Yeah, it's some guy named Grant Cardone." And I'm like, "Are you shitting me? Like, how does nobody know or recognize him just from his voice alone?"
Exactly.
So I thought that was pretty cool.
Oh man, that was crazy. Of course, we enjoyed the show a lot. So as you said, the whole time, because as the Discovery people were saying, the documentary was about a guy whose name is Glenn Bryan, I think.
Yep,
By the
Glenn
way,
Bryant.
it's not actually a lie because I think his middle name is Bryan, Glenn Bryan Stern. So they didn't.
Yes, I believe it is. Yep.
Yeah. So it was Glenn Bryan who quitted his 9 to 5 job at 55 years of age, I think. And he's
Yep.
wanted to just become an entrepreneur like you are right now. And
Yeah.
just, start having his own business. So you just believe that the story? I mean, like you saw this big crew from Discovery Channel is coming to your
Well,
Iron Empire place,
so
and you
the
were
other
just
thing too is, so a lot of people don't realize that the film crew
yeah,
wasn't with Discovery Channel. They were their own. There was a production company, right?
right,
And they were legitimate. They didn't lie to us who they were. It was this is just a test productions. But even when you look them up, there's nothing that associates them to Discovery.
yeah,
They're just hired by Discovery to go out and do these shows.
correct,
So, I still have an original email with a whole little informational flyer saying, "Hey, we're filming this documentary." They called it The American Dream. And put the whole backstory to it, and a lot of it was accurate, except for his real name. But all the contracts we had to sign and the releases, nothing on it anywhere said Discovery. And
Yeah.
we actually didn't find out. This is a true story. So we finished filming early June. It was like right after the end of May. And we didn't find out until July
Yeah.
that it was going to be for Discovery Channel, which
Yeah.
aired like a month and a half later. So we didn't even know it was for Discovery. Even after we found out who Glenn was, Glenn left, the production crew left, and we were just here in area like, okay, when's this documentary come out? We didn't know for a month and a half after they left, and we had a big conference call. They're like, well, we got some exciting news. The documentary is actually picked up, and it's going to be airing on Discovery Channel in a month and a half.
Wow. So you didn't know actually that's going to be released on Discovery Channel?
Yep, no clue.
Okay, so it was kind of risky, I would say, for the for the crew of Discovery Channel, because if you said no, if you're not okay, it was a big mistake maybe. So why did you hire Glenn? Why did you give him his first job?
There's a couple different reasons. First reason being is because if you know anything about me or my involvement with this city, I've always been a pro Erie. I'm from Erie, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to try and help other people,
Yeah.
especially other entrepreneurs, business owners, stuff like that. So to hear about, this guy in his 50s, he had a really good story. Something they really didn't touch base on in the show is Glenn had cancer a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I realized after that. Yeah.
Right. And they told us that. So that was part of the story. They said, hey, he worked a 9 to 5. He got throat cancer a couple of years ago and overcame it. So now he's ready to live his life differently. So I'm like, man, like that's fucking awesome. Like this guy's just throwing away everything he's ever known to go down this path of entrepreneurship. And I said, yeah, if I can use some help, because this is pre-filming, they did contact me and say, hey, we're coming to film this documentary. Your name was brought up multiple times. We would love for you to meet Glenn and possibly give him a job if he needs it. My response said, I can't give him a job if I don't need to help. But if I do need a job when you guys end up here and he's here, introduce us. Let's see what happens, and I'll help him out. So it's just all worked out. It was like perfect timing. We were getting ready for St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
We were getting a little bit busier from our slow season. So I said, yeah, I can definitely use the help. Let's meet up, and we end up, clicking pretty well, even outside of obviously of him working for me.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. I mean, but as you said, I think Glenn find your job online. I think he was, he filled up a couple of applications, but you mean you knew before that someone is coming, and you gave him the job, and he just,
Right. I mean? So I mean, there was a little bit of pre kind of conversation about it.
Yeah.
But it was pretty legit. I said, if I need a job and I happen to be looking for work.
Yeah.
So I told him, I said, I am looking for someone. So, I mean, on TV side, not that it wasn't fake or set up, but, they wanted him to reach out through me through my job posting and stuff like that.
Yeah, of course. No, man, I mean, like, it's all good. It all makes sense. I mean, it wasn't anything offensive. Of course, you needed, as we saw, you were short on the crew, I think, and you needed someone actually, because you had to sell them. Your products because of the St. Patrick's Day, was that all right? When everybody,
Day,
there's something green.
Yep, we had a lot of shirts to print for that event.
There was not something else which was interesting, on the show that we were watching. Glenn decides to invest his money on the swags, right? The stuff which you buy or maybe interested on St. Patrick's Day, and he called you because he didn't know anyone local. My question is, why didn't you accept? Because you didn't know the guy. Why didn't you accept that? And of course, it's not risk, but you did something really what entrepreneurs would do. You just take the t-shirts, take the stuff out, and go and sell it on the street. Why was it? Why did you do that with Glenn?
So back when I first started my company, even after we had opened up our first storefront.
Yeah.
That was my marketing. I went out to the public. I went to events. I went up and set up, little tents and stuff like that. We used to sell to people all day long.
Wow.
Whether it was a city event or it was a, business was having an event, whatever it was. And I was out there hustling, face to face, selling shirts to people because I just wanted to get our brand out there. I wasn't waiting for people to come to me. I went out to them.
Yeah.
And leading up to that, where we went down there for the parade, I didn't really do it as much. I was short staffed. I really wasn't out there that much doing the face-to-face selling like I used to.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what? Let's give this a try and see if I still have the sales guy in me, I guess. And so there was that. I was excited to definitely hit the road and go take shirts and try and sell them to everyone. But I also knew I wanted to help the guy. Glenn Stearns. I wanted to help the guy that I knew.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? He's going to go down to this parade. Nobody's going to recognize him. They're going to see cameras, and he's probably not going to do well. He's probably going to fail.
Wow.
And I said, I don't know if I could let him go down there and do that. Like him ask me and me say, sorry, I'm too busy. I can't do that.
Yeah.
And then find out the next day that he sold like $10 worth of stuff. I would have felt horrible.
Yeah.
So, I was already kind of pretty well known and recognizable here in the city. So by me going down there, it definitely helped him out big time. And I think that after he sold the first couple things, him being with me helped to raise his confidence and self-esteem.
Yeah.
Even him knowing in his head who he is,
Yeah.
He's in a city where he doesn't know anyone.
Of
So
course.
why not be with a guy who looks like me, who everyone's going to recognize, and already has kind of a little bit of a following and kind of help him out. So it was a good move on his end to ask me. And, that's probably one of my favorite moments and memories of doing the show with him, being down there. Cause him and I we were down there you didn't see it in the show, but it was at least a half hour that we're walking around before we even started selling anything.
Yeah, I could guess.
It took a minute, and then it started to pick up. So I'm down there and I'm like, Jesus Christ, like, what are we doing right now?
Yeah.
But it ended up working out.
Yeah, but one of the things that I personally really liked about the show, and I try to use it in my normal life, was that he surrounds himself with experts and people who has that sense of business in their blood. Like you, for example, there was a fact that I really liked about you, that you took out your own T-shirt and said it to the guy when you went to the bar. Man, that was crazy. And by the way, you were not acting like an introvert guy. You were just talking to people. Are you guys drunk enough to buy something from us? Yep. That was crazy, man. I really like that. That was good. Okay.
Yep.
So RJ, what's you met a billionaire. I've never met one before, and you hanged out with him at least for 90 days. Or right now, I know more because you guys keep in touch. Yep. What was the things, like the best things? I'm not limiting it to only one subject, but what was the best things that you really learned, or what kind of change also brought this experience to your life?
I learned a couple different things. First thing I learned is you never know what can happen, as long as you say yes, especially when it comes to helping someone else.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, I've been quoted saying this before, I feel like I would have had a better chance of winning the lottery, because you take this billionaire, right? Yep. They've never done a show before. This is their first try at it. And they drop them off in my city, out of every city in the entire country, entire world. They drop them off here.
Yeah.
On top of dropping them off here, they ask me, hey, can you help him? So on and so forth, whatever it is. And then I end up becoming not only business partners with this guy, but we talk daily. I just saw him last weekend. We were in Miami for the Grant Cardone event.
Yeah.
And so, it's one of those things where all I had to have said is like, hey, listen, I'm sorry, I'm busy. I have no interest, but thank you. My life would be way, way back somewhere where I don't even wouldn't be happy where I was.
Yeah.
So, any opportunities you ever have to help someone, you never know how it can turn back and change your life or turn your life around. The one business takeaway I've had is, like you said, surround yourself with good people.
Yeah.
So after, you didn't see this on a show, but after cameras left, Glenn had stayed in Erie for about 2 more weeks after, as Glenn Stearns, the billionaire, he wanted to help out at the restaurant and really nail down some stuff before he took off and left Erie. And during that 2 weeks, him and I had talked, and we actually came to an agreement, and he invested into Iron Empire.
Wow.
So Glenn is partners with me on my clothing brand now, my screen printing company.
Yeah.
And part of the deal is when he showed up the first day to come work for me, there was me, I had one screen printer, and then I had one salesperson who just like worked my cash register. That's all they did. That's the whole staff.
Yeah.
He said, you cannot do this like you are. You have to get a team of people. So he gave me the tools. He helped me realize and open my eyes to, you know what, I need to hire people. I need to hire, because I can't be an employee. I can't do everything for my company. So here we are today, 2 years later. I'm in a new storefront. We just opened this up a little over a year ago with the help of Glenn.
Yeah.
I've got 2 full-time screen printers. I've got 3 presses now. I went from 1 press to 3 presses.
Yeah.
In-house graphic designer, in-house custom screen printing salesperson.
Wow.
And I surrounded myself with literally the best team of people that I could find. And it's scary because you go from, having 2 people on your payroll to 9 or 10. It's like, how the hell can I afford it?
Yeah.
Well, to grow your business, to bring in those sales, you can't do everything. You have to. And we're just talking about it today. I'm already looking to probably hire 2 more people for different positions over the next month or 2.
Wow. Oh man, I'm really jealous of you.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's definitely a once in a lifetime opportunity. But yeah, so I mean that's changed my life completely. As far as my business goes.
Yeah.
We are both doing stuff for Underdog Barbecue, obviously, and that's still going. But here for Iron Empire, we're busier than we've ever been. We're hitting numbers that I never would have expected to hit on my own.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's just you never know
What happens next?
exactly. You never know.
That was your golden shot and you took it, man. That's why you deserve everything. I mean, like, man, you own it yourself. I was before the show, I was thinking, man, Glenn was super lucky to meet you. Like these people, for example, for me being in Germany right now, actually I born in Iran. It has been like 2 years or almost 2 years that I'm here and studying here in Germany. And we are running our own business with my dad. The fact is, finding that people who, for example, salesman doing the follow-up thing, like Grant says, man, it's hard to find this sort of people everywhere. I'm not saying in Germany, but he found it, and it wasn't like it was, I think, day 5 or day 6 that he found you. I'm not sure really. I don't have.
Yeah, it was only a couple days in.
Yeah, and he found you. He gave you your first job. You earned $60, and then he went and invested his money in St. Patrick's Day. That was amazing, man. About your own business, do you have any numbers for us, if I'm not getting so personal, about the growth that you had in your business?
Yeah, I mean, so to give you an idea, you saw my old storefront that you saw on the TV show, right?
Yeah.
So let's try and do a timeline here. So we finished filming in June, and when I found out Glenn was going to invest, the storefront that I'm in now, maybe towards the end, I'll pick up my laptop and kind of do a walkthrough and show you give you a little tour, meet some people.
I'm good.
But the storefront I'm in now, I was looking at for almost a year, and it was just completely bare bones. I was like, oh, I love the location. We're right next to a really busy fitness center here. Right. And I said, I would love to come in here, but I could just never afford it. Right.
Yeah.
And so we finished filming in June. Glenn and I make out a deal, and I had closed that store in July and opened this one by November of that same year.
Yeah.
So basically when the show was airing, I was getting ready to move out of my old store. I was working out of a warehouse because I was out of my store, but in a transition because they had to build this one out.
Yeah.
So we moved into the store. I believe we opened November 21st or 24th, I believe it was.
And this is happening in 2019 or in 2019, right?
2019.
Yeah.
Yep. So right while the show was coming out, I was opening this store.
Yeah.
And before that, we were maybe doing, 200 grand or so, up and through that year or the year before.
Annual,
and
right?
Because what's that?
Per year, annual.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because I had just started doing custom screen printing. We weren't really big on it. I only had one printer. We couldn't really do too much.
Yeah.
And then 2019 was off because I closed the store for 2 or 3 months, so we didn't really do too much. But last year we broke 500 grand, and we're always slow in January, February, March. We always slow down, slow. I mean, we can be doing $60,000 months, and then January, February, March, we might do 10 or 12 grand, 15 grand, right? No one has money. It's right after the holidays. No one's spending money on retail or clothing.
COVID is another problem. Yeah.
So this year already, we're hitting numbers for our first 3 months that are higher than our busiest numbers last year.
Wow.
So fingers crossed, we might break 1 million this year. So
Hopefully, man. Hopefully, this is
yeah,
the turnover. It's not the profit, right? The total sales that you have is.
total sales. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Man, that's nice. That's nice. I mean,
yeah. So
that's
we're growing quick, very fast.
that's really good, man. I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you. Of
Thank
course,
you.
definitely you search for advices from. You're not that old. How old are you, by the way?
32.
32. Of course, you're from a young entrepreneur. That's great to know what advices you have for us.
Thank
Okay,
you.
what about the underdog barbecue?
Underdog doing good. COVID, the shutdown was a little difficult, right?
Yeah.
We had to shut down. You can see the updates and everything going on there. If you watch Comeback City, did you hear about that series? You know
I
about
saw
that?
you on IMBD. I thought I just want to ask you about that. I thought
Yeah.
you're an
So
actor now, but I think
when they released Undercover Billionaire season 2 with Grant Cardone, when they released that on Discovery, they also released a second season with Glenn. He
yeah.
came back to Erie to help out other businesses. It's called Undercover Billionaire Comeback City. So he
Wow.
goes around, he mentors other businesses in Erie.
Yeah.
And each business gets their own episode. And I believe it's six episodes. And the sixth episode is the finale of the season, but the sixth episode is all about Underdog Barbecue. And it's some big stuff happens.
Yeah.
So you can go, if you go on Discovery Plus, I don't know if they have that out there yet, but if you go on Discovery Plus and pay for it, you can binge watch the entire season, even though it hasn't aired on TV yet.
Yeah.
You can still go watch it. So we've been able to binge watch it here in the US and see what happens. And obviously we knew what happened, but just there are some big changes at the restaurant here locally in Erie.
Yeah.
And my sister, do you remember my sister from the show?
Yeah, Ashley. I know her.
Yes.
Yeah.
So she's kind of the big wig down there at the restaurant now.
Yeah. Yeah.
She stepped up, and a lot happens in that Comeback City episode. Some pretty cool updates.
That's great. I just want to give a shout out to Discovery, maybe, but no, I'm not that big. Maybe to just see it. We cannot watch Undercover Billionaire at Discovery Plus here. It's amazing. It's super disgusting. Your show, to be honest with you, I watched it on YouTube. It has been released by someone, full season 1 on YouTube.
Yep.
The second season, it's not. Of course, I know Matt Smith. There are some smart parts that Grant Cardone himself just put it on his YouTube. But I mean, man, look, I'm a big fan. I'm in Germany. I'm not in Iran or Iran anymore. I'm in Germany. I'm in the first world. And although I paid for Amazon Prime, at first they said you can pay for Amazon Prime, but Discovery, doesn't support Undercover Billionaire show. Only Undercover. I can watch other shows on Amazon Prime.
Oh, okay.
But Undercover Billionaire, I couldn't watch it. You have Grant Cardone, man, on your show, and you cannot watch it. It's super crazy.
Wow.
But giving a shout out to your sister and you. There was a interesting fact that Glenn, when he first saw you and when he first met you, and he came back to the car, so we could see it. You definitely didn't know that. He said that when I saw him, I wanted to turn around and run away. He was scared. But after working with you and getting to know you, he was like, yeah, you cannot judge a book by its cover. And
right.
I think that was the same with your sister, because I remember when he went to the Small Business Development Center, Businesses Development Center. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was searching for people to come and work for him to build up his team, and your sister came, and
she bombed it. She did horrible.
Yeah, she was kind of horrible because I didn't really go well. But when you had the Rib Fest, you brought, you were always the guy who was doing this stuff. I think you were one of the definitely the most important guy on his team. Because if you were not there, no, to be honest with you, I mean, you went to the for the house flipping. You brought your friends. I think you brought your own father.
My dad came. Yep.
Yeah, your dad came. Your girlfriend came. You went to the Rib Fest. Your sister comes. And she brings his friends. That's interesting. To meet your family.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
was really excited to have them.
That was super great. I want to ask a couple of questions, about the car flipping in USA, because I'm in Germany. That's a kind of a specific questions. He flipped the cars, but there was no documents. You know what I mean? Transaction. It was just say, okay, here are the keys. Give me the money. Is it how it goes? I mean, there was no problem with the documentation or paperwork.
So, I don't know. I don't know much about selling cars, but you can list it for sale as an owner. You know,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be through a lot.
Yeah.
But I do know. So let's say I were to meet up to buy a car from someone here. I would, they would say, yeah, I own the title, all that stuff. We would work out a deal, but then we would have to go and do all the documentation elsewhere and do like the notary,
Okay.
the
Yeah.
transfer of the title and everything like that. So, I mean, you can, if I really want to, I can go put my truck on the street right here and put a sign that says for sale.
Yeah.
People can call me, make me some offers. And if I want to offer, we would just go to a bank or go to a notary, do the paperwork and make it official.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, but we didn't see that. I think I was watching another interview from you after the show. I don't. I saw it on YouTube again on the same channel, and I remember for the house flipping. Of course, you need to have some paperwork done at the bank.
Yep.
And for that case, I think he used his real name. I mean,
Yeah.
because of the documentation, man.
I believe so. I believe from what I understood, their explanation, because a lot of people are like, oh, well, how did he do that with his real name and this and that, blah, blah. Well, of course, if he used his real name, he would get approved. So even though I believe you obviously had to use his real name, the kind of loan that they wanted, they applied for a special loan.
Yeah.
Like he could have got a great loan, I'm sure, but he got a loan based off of what his salary or what his pay would have been based off of an average credit score and the amount of money he made.
Yeah.
So they didn't look, he used his name, but they didn't look and say, oh, well, you're a billionaire. Of course you can get this house.
Yeah.
They said, hey, listen, we want to get a kind of loan and apply acting like as, even though my credit score is great, I don't want the best loan. I want to be able to get a loan that makes sense to someone that would be in my shoes.
Yeah.
I believe that's how they went about that.
Yeah, it sounds fair enough to me. Yeah, and then you flip the house. So, that was my personal questions because I was watching the show. I was trying to, copyright the same thing here in Germany. It doesn't go really well. It's super hard. It's super hard. It's completely impossible. Are you keep contacting with other people on the show from the show?
Yeah. I talked to quite a few of them still. Some of them aren't involved anymore. Some of them are doing their own thing and, kind of just went different ways. No bad blood though. We all see each other. We all still get together every once in a while.
Yeah.
Chris Trott and Dawn, they're still doing their businesses, but they do, they are in charge of a foundation, the Underdog Barbecue. It's a small business foundation.
Yeah.
Matt Sanders, he's no longer involved. He got a job somewhere else. So he's not doing the beer anymore.
Oh, I thought he was, he was a kind of in the management, I think, besides you.
Yeah. So I'm not too sure of the specifics or details, but nothing bad happened. I think he was just offered a pretty good position he didn't want to pass up. And it's probably, pick one or the other type situation.
Yeah.
And then obviously my sister's involved. And
you have the 10%?
I don't want to ruin. What's that?
You have the 10%, as far as I remember.
Yeah. Yep. Of the entity. So I'm part of the entity, the Sausage Rubs and Apparel entity.
Yeah.
So I help out with all that. And then there's a couple other, we'll call them staff changes. Some stuff happens on that episode I'm telling you about for Comeback City. You can see more what happens at the restaurant.
Yeah. So that's good. I would definitely, if it's available here, I would check it out. So RJ, the whole show was based on American Dream. If American Dream is still alive or not. First of all, what does American Dream mean to you?
To me,
that's
it has
kind
a whole new
of this type of questions that you need to,
It's a whole new meaning to me. If you would have asked me what the American Dream was 5 years ago before I started doing this, I would say work a good job, 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Make good money. Have health insurance and just live life. I think that's most people's idea of the American Dream. Now I look at it as the American Dream as just being successful and doing what you love the most. I don't care. If you want to work at McDonald's flipping hamburgers for the rest of your life, if you're okay with making that money and working there if that makes you happy, who am I to say that that's not the American Dream to that person?
Wow.
Who's to say that, just because this guy down the street, has a $20 million business and, has this and all these cars and everything, the American dream to him, that he might look at this and my life and be like, I would never be able to live that life. When I'm comfortable with my life, I love where my life is. So I think the American dream to me is just, no matter what you do, no matter what money you make, as long as you're happy with it, and you love what you do. I mean, to me, that's,
That's pretty fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good answer, by the way. That's a great answer. What kind of suggestions do you have for entrepreneurs? First of all, where did you start? Where did you start to become an entrepreneur? I know it a little bit from the show, but we didn't got really deep in your maybe personal life, I would say.
Yeah.
What is all Iron Empire coming from, or what is it about?
So I started Iron Empire as a hobby, just right out of my house back in 2015.
Yeah.
I had the American dream. I worked full time for the city of Erie.
Yeah.
I made good money. I was making, $20 some an hour, pension, benefits, health insurance. I was union. I was good to go. And so as a hobby, I started a clothing line, March of 2015. And within a year later, the clothing line grew so quick and so fast that we were already in our first retail store. We opened up our own brick and mortar, and then I quit my job at the city. I threw it all away in 2016.
Yeah.
Kind of took that leap of faith. And I didn't really take it serious until after about that first year, and then realized I'm onto something here, and it could work if I put all my time and energy, not work a 9 to 5 and then go do my hobby.
Yeah.
What I tell people ask me all the time, they say, when should I quit my day job? When do I know it's time to quit my day job and pursue and be my own boss?
Yeah.
And someone told me, years ago, they said, you're a candle, you're burning at both ends. One side's going to go out eventually.
Yeah.
You got your
You
day
mean
job
one side?
over here.
Oh yeah, exactly.
You got your day job, and then you got your hobby / dream job of being your own boss, right?
Being your own boss.
And when you're doing both, you're a candle burning at both ends, and one of them's going to go out eventually. Which one is it going to be? Either it's going to choose which one it wants you to, or you got to make the choice yourself. So at one point, you just kind of had to decide, when to pull the trigger.
So, but in your case, I think in your case was better because it was handled with numbers, because you saw that your business is growing, so it has a good opportunity. It's a good opportunity for you, so it just quit it. But I think from my personal experience, I would say I think you agree with that. When you have passion for something as well, and because it's a hard road, it's not really easy. You have to be patient. You need patience.
Yeah.
Because it's not like monthly income. Maybe for 5, 6, even a year, you don't have any income, or you don't see any growth. You have to just keep pushing.
And it was hard. I mean, the first 2 or 3 years. I mean, it's still hard today. It's not like I make hundreds of thousands of dollars doing this. But again, I didn't have any business experience. I never went to college, so I don't know anything about business. I'm still learning, to this day, about business and the ins and outs and the do's and don'ts and everything else. So there's a lot more people out there that are way, way more suitable to start a business from the ground up, because I knew nothing. But what I had, passion. I knew how to work my ass off. I knew how to, have 12, 14-hour days and only sleep for 4 hours a night.
Wow.
And I just drive, just a grind. And there's a lot of years of that. So, I tell people all the time, if you think you want to do it, don't think too long about it, because by the time you want to do it, it's going to be too late.
Wow. Yeah,
the more you wait, the longer you wait, you're going to lose that opportunity. You know?
Exactly. I know I follow your Instagram account. I realized, as you said, you were in the Miami event, like 10x GrowthCon 2021. You were not following Grant before the Undercover Billionaire show, or you were?
Yeah, I was. I knew about Grant.
Okay, but that was your first GrowthCon experience.
Yeah, that was my first time going to the event, though. Yep.
How was it?
Amazing. It was crazy. I mean, it was cool to see and like listen to the people talk, the big speakers, but there's no better feeling than being, in Erie, a lot of people don't have the mindset like I do and like we do here at my store. A lot of people are comfortable. They don't want to grow. They're just, hey, my business does $200,000 a year, and I'm okay with that, and I'll just live off of that for the rest of my life, and I'm fine with that. There's nothing wrong with that. I am constantly pushing my team and my business. Okay, we did this. Now what do we do? Now what do we do? Now what do we do? Taking it to the next level every other week. And so I don't really relate to a lot of people here. I don't. A lot of times I meet other people. It's great to meet other entrepreneurs, but we're just on different levels, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I'm not trying to put them down. It's just I know what I have and the drive and determination that I have, and it just surpasses a lot of the people I've met around locally. So to go to an event where there's 2,000 people and they all have that mindset to just fucking grow, grow, network, meet new people, grow my business from $100,000 to $1 million, $1 million to 10 million. When you're around 2,000 people like that, it motivates the hell out of you.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And I think, because, I can guess when you're, for example, you have a limitation when you broke the ceiling, I would say, for example, okay, you thought at the beginning, maybe 150 grand is a big amount of money. But when you get it, you may be satisfied, you are not hungry. When you're hungry, you're grinding yourself. But when you get something, I think it's a trap for most entrepreneurs. When they get, a couple of dollars, I would say, they're satisfied and they don't keep pushing, and they go down. But I think having someone like Grant Cardone, which has these yearly events, annual events, it just breaks the mindset again. You keep pushing forward. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, RJ, I think we filled up 40 minutes. I'm going to stop recording. Is it possible that I have you after recording for a personal discussion, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. So thank you again for being on the show.
Yeah. No, thank you. Appreciate it.